Welcome to another edition of It's Your City. I'm Bob Crowell, and I have the honor and privilege of being the mayor of the greatest city in Nevada, our very own capital, Carson City, Nevada. As you know, every couple of weeks I take a few minutes after the board meetings to talk about what happened at the board meeting and also to talk about things happening around our community. So let's give it a try here today. First, let me wish everybody a Happy New Year. When I'm taping this, it is Thursday, the 3rd of January, and I hope everyone had a great Christmas season and look forward to a prosperous new year. The Board of Supervisors meeting on this past Thursday, on January 3rd, didn't have a whole lot on it in terms of agenda items, but there were some interesting things on it that you should know about if you didn't watch the agenda meeting. First, let me say that Supervisor Aldean and Supervisor Walt, this was their last meeting, and I want to publicly state our community and our board's thanks to both of them for their service to their community. These are not easy times for anybody to be in any position in this community, dealing with the issues that come before, trying to make sure that our quality of life stays good in our community, at the same time doing things in an efficient manner and making do with less, but also at the time trying to make sure that our quality of service stays up. And so my hat's off and my thanks to Molly and Shelley for all the work they've done over the years for helping Carson City navigate through these I'll call them difficult times. And while I talk about difficult times, I think that, you saw the unemployment rate drop in Carson City to 10.3%, which was a 0.4% drop. That's a good thing. How much of that is attributable to people exiting the labor force or not looking for work, I'm still taking a look at, but in any event, the unemployment rate hopefully is going in the right direction. It still means that there are 2,800 people, 2,800 wage earners in our community that are out of work, and that is not a good thing. That is not a good thing. So on the economic front, as I've said many times, government can do certain things, but it can't do everything. We need to rest on and we should rest on the efforts of private enterprise, and hopefully the economy is turning around so that private enterprise can again thrive in our community. My own sense is that government can put in place the infrastructure and the environment for business to thrive, but other than that, we ought to leave most of that up to private enterprise, the business side of the world, to private enterprise. Let me say a couple words about what happened at the board meeting. First, Supervisor Aldean presented a certificate of thanks to P.J. DeGrosse for all she's done for taking on the chore, and it's not necessarily a chore, but taking on the issue of providing good things for our men and women who are serving our country in uniform overseas. P.J. has been in the forefront of a lot of those efforts in our community. And as she mentioned during her comments, everybody in our community, when she asks, steps up to help the men and women who are serving our community and serving our country in foreign jurisdictions. So again, our community thanks to P.J. DeGrosse for what she does and has done for our men and women in uniform. And I know that there are other organizations that are similarly involved, and I want to thank them as well, like the Gold Star Moms, the Blue Star Moms, organizations such as that that just do wonders for helping those who've been killed or injured or who are just serving overseas right now work through those issues, and because it is a difficult time, not easy being overseas in the first place, not easy being overseas in harm's way and away from your family. And so I want to thank all of those organizations as well as P.J. DeGrosse. The other issue that we talked about at the Board of Supervisors meeting was the signage issue in town. In 2009, the board amended its ordinance to temporarily allow for lack of a better word, I think they're called apron boards, and banner signage on premises to allow businesses to advertise without putting a billboard up. You could put banners up on your property, or put an apron board up, and we did that on a temporary basis because a lot of times if a community has just filled with apron boards and banners, it begins to look not inviting it just doesn't look inviting. And so we've done that on a trial basis, and we've extended it for 2 times. At this board meeting, we agreed to extend it out to January of 2015 with the ask of our city staff that they come back and see if there are things that we can do to one, help the enforcement issues along that go along with signage issues, and 2, to take a look at an off-premise use of signs. And the answer on the off-premise signs is what we get is that probably that's not doable because it leads to a whole lot of different problems occurring in terms of the clutter of signage. But you know, we'll take a look. We want to try and be as business friendly as we can, yet also maintain an attractive and inviting community for our visitors and residents alike. So, but the bottom line is the temporary signage, on-premise signage ban was extended for another 2 years. We also had on the board agenda the issue of talking about Carson Street, moving that from 4 lanes to 2 lanes in a core area of downtown. That issue has been talked about for a number of years, and most recently it was brought up in the 2006 master plan discussions. And it was determined that as a result of those discussions that the desire of our community was to create a pedestrian-friendly environment in our downtown, and that we should evaluate squeezing down the lanes in Carson City from 4 to 2 lanes in certain areas. Part of that is we've done some analysis on that. Part of that said if you're going to do a whole big revamp of downtown and take out the medians and redo the sidewalks and things like that is a huge expense, somewhere north of $12 million, which just is not going to be done. It can't be done. But the proposal before us at the board meeting was to just to take the existing infrastructure as it was in Carson, on Carson Street, and move the lanes from 4 lanes to 2 in certain areas of the core downtown area, and do that just by striping alone, so that if it didn't work out, we could go back and restripe again. Part of the impetus of that is that Carson Street, now that Carson City owns it, Carson Street, we will be needing this year or next year to micropave Carson Street because it's starting to deteriorate. So at the same time you'd micropave, you could do the striping, which would alleviate any additional striping costs. There's still an incremental cost if you're striping for moving it from 4 lanes to 2 lanes, but the bulk of the cost could be picked up through our normal maintenance activities on Carson Street. And that was the impetus of seeing what we could do in terms of moving from 4 lanes to 2 in certain areas. At the same time, the proposal was to take down the fence and also leave the medians in place in the middle of Carson Street. As I said, not to make any serious infrastructure changes, physical changes on the ground. That would also, because you would, if you left the medians in, and they would be left in, there is insufficient room to do diagonal parking. So what the staff has proposed is that they do parallel parking, and what the board asked is that if you're going to do parallel parking, that we should look at extending the width, the length of parallel parking to make it easier to get in and out so that you don't have the normal tight space that you would otherwise have on parallel parking. We heard the comments from a lot of the business owners downtown, a lot of the public about this issue. It was the recommendation of the board that we ask staff to go back and fine-tune the plan and to also define where the funding sources would come from in terms of the micro paving, the striping, and the taking down of the fences, and the storage of the fences, and what the cost would be of reinstalling those fences if we had to, and the cost of undoing what we did. So the staff is going to be taking a look at those issues, and they'll be coming back to the board with the revised plan. But I think it's fair to say that the board wants to see what can be done by temporarily or by striping downtown into two lanes, on one lane north and one lane south in certain core areas of the town, to help our businesses and to create a more pedestrian-friendly environment downtown. So that'll be coming back to the board. One of the reasons in an upcoming meeting here, micropaving can't be done until the weather heats up pretty well, which will mean spring, late spring, in that time frame. So. But again, the funding sources for it was about $160,000 that we needed to find. Some of that would come from redevelopment. Some would come from the Regional Transportation Commission through its ordinary maintenance program for Carson Street. We asked the staff to go look and see if those funds were available, and if so, how available were they in terms of a priority situation of other projects that they have in mind. And bring all that back to us to make a final recommendation and decision to actually restripe Carson Street in certain areas. That was a long-winded way of explaining what went on there. If you have more questions, please don't hesitate to call me at City Hall at 887-2100, or email me at bcrowell@carson.org, or you may do that with any of our supervisors. And by the way, come next January 7th, that's the Monday after you've probably seen this, we will have two new supervisors, Mr. Brad Bunkowski and Mr. Jim Shirk will be taking their seats as Board of Supervisors in Carson City, and we look forward to working with them, helping our city grow, prosper, and make it a great place to live, work, and play in as efficient and manner as is possible. So we welcome them aboard to our community, and I welcome them not just to our community because they're already here, but we welcome them to the Board of Supervisors. Also, the Board of Supervisors will be having a kind of a strategic retreat where we'll be going over open meeting law issues, talking about things that the board, including the new board members, want to see happen. Having a discussion about that, and I believe that's going to be done on January 24th, and that'll probably be done, I think, at the Ormsby Room at the Sheriff's Office. That's about what's going on. Again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call or email any of us on the board. And in closing, in addition to wishing each and every one of you a Happy New Year, let me again say thank you to each and every one of you for what you do to make our community a better place to live, work, and play. Thank you again.